And then we ask ourselves, are we live? But we don't know. It's not just a philosophical thing. It's also the unpredictability of technology. The thing I teach people every day in this library, when they come in and they think they're not computer savvy, so they think computers are magic. And the first thing I have to tell them is computers are made by human beings. Human beings are flawed. Therefore, every computer is flawed. We cannot make a perfect thing. It does not exist. And I think I'm live now. Hello, how are you? Welcome to Tea and New Book Tuesday. Where am I? There I am. This meeting is being live streamed. I knew that. That was the plan, actually. Yeah, that's why I did that. Welcome to Tea and New Book Tuesday, the Facebook Live program where I tell you what books are coming to Mobile Public Library. They've already been pre-ordered and can be put on hold. Today's books will be arriving in September, and they are a couple of romances and then several historical fiction titles. You guys seem to lean more in a historical fiction direction than romance, although I think some of you are interested in the romance stuff too. And if you're like me, I'm kind of interested in all of it. Like, there isn't a genre I won't read, which is almost harder to find books for, because then you're like, well, I don't know. Is that the romance I want to read? Is that the science fiction I feel like today? Yeah. Although everybody's probably going through some version of that. If you're a reader, you just kind of have a book hangover sometime, which, by the way, there used to be a thing on this program where I would read books in advance and then give you a review of them. I haven't been able to do that because, as I've told you a few times, I'm doing a podcast with one of the other librarians called Grown Up Book Report. So I have to read books for that. And I have to read books I would not normally read for that. So forcing myself to read anything other than exactly what I want the rest of the time is not working. Having said that, it happened to coincide where I could read Final Girl Support Group, which might already be out. It's either come out in the last week or it's coming out later this month. I think it's a July title. Final Girl Support Group is by Grady Hendrix. And I don't have the cover here to show you because I didn't think I was going to finish it as fast as I did. I finished it in like 2 days. It's okay. It's very okay. And I don't mean that as an insult because, I whipped through it. I was very interested in what was going to happen next and how she was going to get out of this situation and all that stuff. So it kept me like turning pages, but I did kind of know what was going to happen. That's not always a bad thing. In this case, I think he was trying to like keep it moving too fast for me to catch up and realize what was happening, but I knew what was happening. And he kind of uses the term final girl so often that it loses all meaning. At some point, I just wanted to take the phrase back from him and be like, describe them any other way. Give me any other adjective for these women, for the love of God. So this is the third I didn't read them like one after another, but several books have come out that have sort of played with the idea in horror of the final girl. For those of you who don't know, the final girl is the person who survives at the end of the horror movie and usually murders the monster. So in Halloween, it's Laurie Strode, who's played by Jamie Lee Curtis. In the Halloween 2018, which I really liked, I say that like nobody else liked it. It got good reviews. A lot of people liked it. I was one of them. In that one, she survives, so does her daughter and her granddaughter. And that one's talking about generational trauma. So that's important to the story. But of the 3 books I've read, it's now been, I think, Riley Sager wrote a Final Girl novel a couple years ago. This is Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. The first one I read was by, I think she wrote it as Mira Grant and not as Shauna McGuire. but it's Shauna Maguire because Mira Grant is just her horror pseudonym. It was just a novella. I don't even think we have it. Just making me think I need to email Carly and tell her to buy it. But I'm not sure if it's available except as an ebook, which is weird because Shauna Maguire is a significant author. I have doubt. She publishes like maybe 2 books a year, sometimes 3. So I don't think she has trouble getting published. So if it was ebook only, it was ebook only because of the length. Hers, which I cannot remember the title of, but it has Final Girls in the title. That's my favorite of the 3. Not that you asked, but if you want to explore the concept of the final girl, go with Shauna Maguire, ignore Riley Sager and Grady Hendrix. I think one of the reasons I wanted to read this book, though I wanted to read Final Girl Support Group, is because I've heard Grady Hendrix is really neat and interesting, and it's a Southern writer. He's writing horror, and he's writing in a way that's funny. So that checks all my boxes. Everything I want to read. And I read it because I was also thinking that for the podcast, we might read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Vampires, which maybe we'll still read it. I don't know. But I wanted to see if I liked him as an author. And I'm back and forth. My description of the book is, as I said, it's very okay. It's very commercial, which it's a concept you come up with, that you come against if you're writing and you're trying to understand where to put something you've written in terms of the publishing world. Something that's very commercial is very appealing to a wide audience, not terribly challenging to that audience, and is written in a style that is very easy to read and to read quickly. So there's little things like short sentences and clear concepts and things like that. Although I will say, there is a joke so funny in Final Girl Support Group that I stopped and laughed out loud, which is weird when you're reading. And then I immediately read the entire paragraph to my sister so she could get the joke. And I'm not sure you can get the full impact of that joke if it's read to you. I think you have to read it. So yeah, there is at least one joke in there that is hilarious, which is making me kind of think I might read the Southern Book Club's Guide to Vampires. I don't know. Right now I'm reading Sylvia Marino Garcia's. I may have her name wrong, but it's a book that's name I've completely forgotten. Beautiful Things, something like that. It's about vampires in Mexico City. Very interesting. Very, I don't know. I like the way she's drawing her characters, but I'm only like 6 chapters in, so I shouldn't be babbling about it anyway. We should move on. Let's move on to giveaways. Okay. I have 4 books to give away today, and I think, guess. Guess. Sometimes I see the things I do. I mean, I get to see everything I do for Tea and Notebook Tuesday after it airs because I just watch back the video. So I can, know how to prepare myself. But even as I'm doing this, I'm seeing me from your perspective, and that was weird. So anyway, 2 of the 4 books aren't even out yet. And it's a mix of fiction and nonfiction. And I think it's a fun group of 4 books. As always with the giveaways, if you would like one of these books, put the name of the book in the comments below with your MPL location for pickup. I need both. I need the name of the book. I need your MPL location for pickup. I have to have them both. I cannot send the book to nowhere. I cannot send the book to Nebraska. It has to go to a Mobile Public Library location. And I will respond as soon as I can if you're the person who picked that book first. I've had a lot of weeks where there was a book left over or even a couple of books left over. So if this is a couple days later, don't hesitate. I will try to put the names of the remaining books in the description, but even if you don't get it first, maybe you'll get one next week. And I don't know if you realize this, but this is usually a preview back here of what I'm going to give away next week. It definitely is this week. But let's talk about what you can get today. If you can pick it up from Maine, you could have it practically in the next hour. Okay. First up, we have The Rehearsals by Annette Christie, a romance novel. This is described as a clever and enchanting story, terrific fun from beginning to end. Megan Givens and Tom Prescott are heading into what is supposed to be their magical weekend wedding on the beautiful San Juan Island. But with two difficult families, 10 years of history, and all too many secrets, things quickly go wrong. After a disastrous rehearsal dinner, they vow to call the whole thing off, only to wake up the next morning stuck together in a time loop. Are they really destined to relive the worst day of their lives over and over? And what happens if their wedding day does arrive? A funny, romantic, and big-hearted debut novel, perfect for fans of Josie Silver and Rebecca Searle, The Rehearsals imagines what we might do if we were given a second chance at life and at love, and what it means to finally get it right. So that's The Rehearsals by Annette Christie. That came out this comes out today, by the way. Clark and Division, which we talked about when we were discussing, last month, when we were discussing, I think, historical fiction at that time as well, because this is historical fiction. So this would be when I mentioned it. But this is about 20-year-old Aiki Ito and her parents. They've just been released from Manzanar, where they have been detained by the US government since the aftermath of Pearl Harbor, together with thousands of Japanese Americans. Their life in California the life in California the Itos were forced to leave behind is gone. Instead, they're being resettled 2,000 miles away in Chicago, where Aki's older sister Rose was sent months earlier and moved to the new Japanese American neighborhood near Clark and Division Streets. But on the eve of the Ito family reunion, Rose is killed by a subway train. Aki, who worships her sister, is stunned. Other officials are ruling Rose's death a suicide. Aki cannot believe her perfect, polished, and opinionated sister would end her life. Her instinct tells her there is much more to the story, and she knows she is the only person who could ever learn the truth. Inspired by historical events, Clark and Division infuses an atmospheric and heartbreakingly real crime fiction plot with rich and period details and delicately wrought personal stories. Naomi Hirahara has gleaned from 30 years of research and archival work in Japanese American history. So that's Clark and Division. Did I have a copy of this to give away before? I don't know. Maybe I did. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. We don't know. There's turning out to be a bit of a Chicago theme, because I think the next one is set in Chicago. Yes, it is. Set on Chicago's South Side. But this is 3 Girls from Bronzeville, a uniquely American story of race, fate, and sisterhood. Okay. Is this nonfiction? This is nonfiction. I don't know, why did I decide this was fiction? Because I'm losing my mind? Very possibly. Yeah. This won't be out until September 7th. They were 3 Black girls. Dawn, tall and studious, her sister Kim, younger by 3 years and headstrong as they come, and her best friend Deborah, already prom queen pretty by 3rd grade. They bonded fervently and intensely in the unique way of little girls as they roamed the concrete landscape of Bronzeville, a historic neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, the destination of hundreds of thousands of Black folks who fled the ravages of the Jim Crow South. These 3rd-generation daughters of the Great Migration come of age in the 1970s, in the warm glow of the recent civil rights movement. It has offered them a promise, albeit nascent and fragile, that they will have opportunities, rights, and freedoms, more opportunities, rights, and freedoms than any generation of Black Americans in history. Their striving working class parents are eager for them to realize this hard-fought potential. But the girls have much more immediate concerns, hiding under the dining room table and eavesdropping on grown folks' business, collecting secret treasures, and daydreaming about their futures. Dawn and Deborah want to be doctors, Kim a teacher. For a brief, wondrous moment, the girls are all giggles and dreams and promises of friends forever. And then fate intervenes, first slowly and then dramatically, sending them careening in wild different directions. There's heartbreak, loss, displacement, and even murder. Dawn struggles to make sense of the shocking turns that consume her sister and her best friend, all of while asking herself a simple and profound question: why? In the vein of The Other Westmore and the short and tragic life of Robert Pierce, Three Girls from Bronzeville is a piercing memoir that chronicles Dawn's attempt to find answers. It's at once a celebration of sisterhood and friendship, a testimony to unique struggles of Black women, and a tour de force about the complex interplay of race, class, and opportunity, and how those forces shape our lives and our capacities for resilience and redemption. So that's Three Girls from Bronzeville. And this one won't be out until September unknown day. It is Fuzz, When Nature Breaks the Law by Mary Roach. Mary Roach has written several other books about nonfiction in a similar vein about some part of our life, like Grunt, The Curious Science of Humans at War, and Packing for Mars, The Curious Science of Life in a Void, and Stiff, The Curious Science of Human Cadavers. So this is When Nature Breaks the Law, which I'm not a Mary Roach fan, mostly just because her style of writing, I find she's not chronological. She's kind of weaves in and out, which I don't like in my nonfiction, but I kind of love the subject she chooses because I think it's always fun. So this is about what's to be done about a jaywalking moose, a grizzly bear caught breaking and entering, a murderous tree. As New York Times bestselling author Mary Roach discovers, the answers are best found not in jurisprudence, but in science, the curious science of human-wildlife conflict, a discipline at the crossroads of human behavior and wildlife biology. Roach tags along with animal attack forensic investigators, human-elephant conflict specialists, bear managers, and danger tree fall blasters. She travels from leopard-terrorized hamlets in the Indian Himalayas to St. Peter's Square in the early hours before the Pope arrives for Easter Mass, when vandal gulls swoop in and destroy the elaborate floral display. Along the way, Roach reveals as much about humanity as about nature's lawbreakers, combining little-known forensic science and conservation genetics with a motley cast of laser scarecrows, langur impersonators, and mugging macaws. Fuzz offers hope for compassionate coexistence in our ever-expanding human habitat. So that's Fuzz. So that's the 4 books that you could receive as a giveaway. There's them. They're upside down, so you can't read them. Wait. No, they're not upside down. There you go. And having gone over the giveaways, did I tell you what I'm drinking? I think I forgot to tell you what tea I'm drinking. Grady Hendrix distracted me. I'm actually having the honey vanilla chamomile. I kept one back so that, and I really should have told you this in the beginning, so that if you wanted to, you could make a cup if you were one of the people who received the tea giveaway. Actually, I have one more of those. So if you didn't receive a tea giveaway last week and you would like one, please let me know in the comments below. It's just sitting there. It might as well go to somebody. But yeah, so if you wanted to make a cup from your collection of the honey vanilla chamomile, we could have tea together. Although, I mean, we could have tea together whether or not you make the one I'm drinking or not. That's kind of how tea works. Okay, let's go on. Let's look at our slides. No, I don't want to stop the live stream. I'm completely on the wrong thing. Because let me share my screen, please. Thank you. Is this what I need? This might be what I need. And I need, nope, nope, nope. There it is. That's what I need. You have already been welcomed to Teen New Book Tuesday. You know what's going on. Today, as we discussed, is romance and historical fiction. So let's start with the first two romances, beginning with Witch Please by Anne Aguirre. I don't know. Anne. Anyway, this is a fantasy romance. She's decided to call non-magical people mundanes instead of muggles, I think. So for everyone who's disappointed when you saw Fantastic Beasts and we get to see the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in America, like what was in the 1920s, and we find out that Americans called non-magical people no badges, which we tend to call a thing what it is. But it was also a lot less fun than muggles. Here's an alternative, although it's not that much better. Okay. Danica Waterhouse is a fully modern witch, daughter, granddaughter, cousin, and co-owner of Fix-It Witches, a magical tech repair shop. After a messy breakup that included way too much family feedback, Danica made a pact with her cousin. They'll keep their hearts protected and have fun without involving any of the overly opinionated Waterhouse matriarchs. Danica is more than a little exhausted navigating a long-standing family feud where Graham thinks the only good mundane is a dead one, and Danica's mother weaves floral crowns for anyone who crosses her path. 3 blocks down from the Fix-It Witches, Titus Winokur, owner of Sugar Daddy Bakery, has family trouble of his own. After a tragic loss, all he's got left is his sister, the bakery, and a lifetime of terrible luck and love. Sure, business is sweet, but he can't seem to shake the romantic curse that's left him past 30 and still a virgin. He's decided he's doomed to be forever alone. Until he meets Danica Waterhouse. The sparks are instant, their attraction irresistible. For him, she's the one. To her, he's a firebomb thrown in the middle of a family war. Can a modern witch find love with an old-fashioned mundane who refuses to settle for anything less than forever? This is going to be a series. This is book 1 in the series. If you are interested in Witch Please, it comes out September 7th. I don't have my remote mouse, and I'm just going to keep grabbing it and moving it around, despite the fact that it's not hooked up to the computer, because I cannot accept that I don't have access to it. Okay, my second and final romance for the day is When Sparks Fly by Helena Hunting. Running the Spark House, a hotel event space that has been in her family for years, has been Avery Sparks' lifelong dream. After years of working hard and making personal sacrifices, Avery and her 2 younger sisters have turned the Spark House into the premier destination in Colorado Springs. Avery is living her best life. She works with her sisters and loves every minute of it. She has a great group of friends, and she lives in a fantastic condo with her best friend, Declan. She might not have any love in her life, but she's happy. But everything comes to a screeching halt when Avery is in a car accident, leaving her immobile for weeks. After nearly losing Avery, Declan insists that he be the one to take care of her while she recovers. However, as Declan becomes Avery's caretaker, lines begin to blur. Avery and Declan have been best friends since college and always had an attraction to one another. But when she ended up dating his best friend Sam, they successfully stamped down any feelings they might have had for one another. Now, as Declan and Avery spend more time together, they each begin to wonder what would have happened if she dated him instead of Sam. What starts as a friend helping out a friend turns into foreplay, and before they realize it, they recognize how deeply they care for one another. But when things get serious, their past threatens to destroy everything they have built. If you're interested in When Sparks Sparks Fly. It comes out September 21st. All right, moving on to the historical fiction. Matrix by Lauren Groff. Cast out of the royal court of Eleanor of Aquitaine, I think it's Aquitaine, deemed too coarse and rough-hewn for marriage or courtly life, 17-year-old Marie de France is sent to England to be the new prioress of an impoverished abbey, its nuns on the brink of starvation and beset by disease. At first taken aback by the severity of her new life, Marie finds focus and love in collective life with her singular and mercurial sisters. In this crucible, Marie steadily supplants her desire for family, for her homeland, for the passions of her youth with something new to her, devotion to her sisters, and a conviction in her own divine visions. Marie, born the last in a long line of women warriors and crusaders, is determined to chart a bold new course for the woman she now leads and protects. But in a world that is shifting and corroding in frightening ways, one that can never reconcile itself with her existence, will the sheer force of Marie's vision be bulwark enough? Equally alive to the sacred and the profane, Matrix gathers currents of violence, sensuality, and religious ecstasy in a mesmerizing portrait of consuming passion, aberrant faith, and a woman that history moves through and around. Lauren Groff's new novel, her first since Fate and Furies, is a defiant and timely exploration of the raw power of female creativity in a corrupted world. This received a starred review from both Publishers Weekly and Kyrgyz, both of whom are not easy to impress. So if you are also interested in Matrix, it comes out September 7th. All right, The Royal Correspondent by Alexandra Joel. Breaking into the newspaper business in 1960 Sydney, a competitive world dominated by hard-edged men, isn't easy for a woman, but Blaze Hill is far from ordinary. The only female in the Carry-On's newsroom, her long-held dream of becoming a reporter has come true. Blaze isn't chasing stories just to make a name for herself. She's helping support her family and her beloved sister Ivy, whose life has been transformed by polio. But the ambitious young journalist's confidence is shaken when she secretly witnesses the murder of a top crime boss, a death that rocks the Sydney underworld. One of the few people who knows what really happened, and what Blaze knows, is the handsome, enigmatic Adam Rule, who helps cover up the murder. When she gets a plum assignment moving to England to cover the British royal family, Blaze hopes to put it all behind her. Carving her own path among the scandal and intrigue of the swinging 60s in London, life is just about perfect, until the night she attends Queen Elizabeth's gala in honor of the upcoming nuptials of Princess Margaret and Anthony Armstrong Jones. Among the exclusive crowd is the last man she'd ever want to see, Adam Rule. Is Blaze's dark secret coming back to hurt her, or is this the beginning of something far more dangerous? In this mesmerizing novel, Alexandra Joel brings to life the thrilling, colorful world of 1960s Sydney and London, when fashion, music, society, and even the royal family rode the waves of change, and a spirited, ambitious heroine dared to make her way in a man's world. If you're interested in The Royal Correspondent, it comes out September 7th. All right. Next up, we have a Pulitzer Prize-winning author, Late City by Robert Olin Butler. A visionary and poignant novel centered around former newsman Sam Cunningham as he prepares to die. Late City covers much of the early 20th century, unfurling as a conversation between the dying man and a surprising God. As the two review Sam's life, from his childhood in the American South and his time in the French trenches during World War I, to his fledgling newspaper career in Chicago in the Roaring '20s and the decades that follow, snippets of history are brought sharply into focus. Sam grew up in Louisiana with a harsh father who he came to resent, both for the physical abuse and for what Sam eventually perceives as his flawed morality. Eager to escape and prove himself, Sam enlists in the army as a sniper while still underage. The hardness his father instilled in him helps him make it out of World War I alive. But as he recounts these tales on his deathbed, we come to realize that it also prevented him from contending with the emotional wounds of war. Back in the US, Sam moves to Chicago to begin a career as a newspaperman that will bring him close to all the major historical turns of the 20th century. There he meets his wife and has a son, whose fate Sam counters Sam at almost every turn. As he contemplates his relationship with his parents, his brothers in arms, his wife, his editor, and most importantly, his son, Sam is amazed at what he still has left to learn about himself after all these years in the heart-rending novel from a Pulitzer Prize winner. More Chicago for today. So if you're interested in Late City, it comes out September 7th. All right, The Living and the Lost by Ellen Feldman. Millie and her brother David escaped to the United States just before Kristallnacht, leaving their parents and little sister in Berlin. For those of you who don't know, Kristallnacht is, I think it's in 1938. It's the moment most historians mark as a change in Hitler and the Nazis' overall treatment of the Jews, from being mostly illegal, societal pressure-y kind of messed up thing to full violence. At that point, they arrested a lot of Jewish people and threw them in ghettos. They killed a bunch of them. They destroyed their homes. It's Kristallnacht's a big deal. So they managed to escape just before this happened. And I think we're going to return to Berlin after the war. So now that they are both back in their former hometown, haunted by ghosts and hoping against hope to find their family, Millie works in the office responsible for rooting out the most dedicated Nazis from publishing. Like most of their German-born American colleagues, the siblings suffer from rage at Germany and guilt at their own good fortune. Only Millie's boss, Major Harry Sutton, seems strangely eager to be fair to the Germans. Living and working in a bombed-out Berlin, a latter-day Wild West where the desperate prey on the unsuspecting, spies ply their trade, black markets thrive, and forbidden fraternization is rampant, Millie must come to terms with a past decision made in a moment of crisis, and with the enigmatic, sometimes infuriating Major Sutton, who is mysteriously understanding of her demons. Atmospheric and page-turning, The Living and the Lost is a story of survival, love, and forgiveness of others, and of herself. The author also wrote Paris Never Leaves You. So if you're a fan of that novel, you might be interested in The Living and the Lost. It comes out September 7th, as so many things do today, including the next one. Rizio by Denise, Mina? I think it's Denise. That's Denise, right? Probably. Okay. On the evening of March 9th, 1566, David Rizio, the private secretary of Mary Queen of Scots, was brutally murdered. Dragged from the chamber of a heavily pregnant Mary, Rizio was stabbed 56 times by a party of assassins. This breathtakingly tense novella dramatizes the events that led up to that night, telling the infamous story as it has never been told before, a dark tale of sex, secrets, and lies. Rizio looks at a shocking historical murder through a modern lens and explores the lengths that men and women will go to in their search for love and power. Rizio is nothing less than a provocative and thrilling new literary masterpiece. Mina, by the way, has won a ton of awards. It is wildly popular. So if you are interested in Rizio, which I think I might be, I might see if I can get this in advance. I might see if I can get it on NetGalley. But if you're interested in it, it comes out September 7th. If I read it, I will tell you what I thought of it. Did I tell you I started falling? Yeah, I read the first chapter. I'm not thrilled. I'm probably not going to continue reading it. And I think I have another copy. Yeah. So I now have 2 copies to give away. Except since you guys didn't want it, I know I keep talking about putting things on the cart downstairs with a sign that just says free, but I still haven't gotten around to doing it. So hopefully sometime this week. And before I go on, because I always forget to say this earlier, I have removed several, I have 2 or 3 romance and a few historical fiction books from this list because they were part of a series, or a couple of the Christmas stuff is already coming out. And I just could not bring myself to cover a Christmas book on August 17th. Maybe we'll do a show that covers the Christmas stuff that's come out this year. That would be fun. We could do that. But anyway, I've got them already ready to go as a discussion board post for our Goodreads Teen New Book Tuesday group. So if you want to know what I left out, you can go there and slide through them and see if there's anything you're interested in and you want to put on hold. All right. Moving on to, I really like the title of this one, I Was Never the First Lady, by Wendy Guerra? I don't know. Okay. A lush, sensuous, and original tale of family, love, and history, set against the backdrop of the Cuban Revolution and its aftermath. Nadia's mother, Albus, left when Nadia was just 10 years old. Growing up, the proponents of revolution promised a better future. Now that she's an adult, Nadia finds that life in Havana hasn't quite matched its promise. Instead, it has stifled her rebellious and artistic desires. Each night, she DJs a radio show government censors block from broadcasting. Frustrated, Nadia finds hope and a way out when she wins a scholarship to study in Russia. Leaving Cuba offers her the chance to find her long-lost mother and her real father. But as she embarks on a journey east, Nadia soon begins to question everything she thought she knew and understood about her past. Nadia discovers more about her family. As Nadia discovers more about her family, her fate becomes intertwined with that of Celia Sanchez, an icon of the Cuban Revolution, a resistance fighter, ingenious spy, and the rumored lover of Fidel Castro. A tale of revolutionary ideals and promise, Celia's story interweaves with Nadia's search for meaning and eventually reveals secrets Nadia could never have dreamed of. So if you are interested in I Was Never the First Lady, it comes out September 14th. I think we only have, yep, this is the last one. It's our last book for today. It's called The Stolen Lady by Laura Morelli. So, France, 1939. More World War II action. At the dawn of World War II, Anne Guichard, a young archivist employed at the Louvre, arrives home to find her brother missing. While she works to discover his whereabouts, refugees begin flooding into Paris, and German artillery fire rattles the city. Once they reach the city, the Nazis will stop at nothing to get their hands on the Louvre's art collection. Anne is quickly sent to the Castle of Chambord, where the Louvre's most precious artworks, including the Mona Lisa, are being transferred to ensure their safety. With the Germans hard on their heels, Anne frantically moves the Mona Lisa and other treasures again and again in an elaborate game of hide and seek. As the threat to the masterpieces and her life grows closer, Anne also begins to learn the truth about her brother and the role he plays in this dangerous game. That, by the way, was true. The Nazis seized and destroyed a number of artwork. I forget. I think they destroyed some Van Gogh, and there's an entire list of things that some of it they set on fire, some of it they didn't take care of. It was complete and utter madness. Now, Florence, 1479. House servant Belina's future seems fixed when she accompanies her newly married mistress Lisa to her new home. Lisa's husband, a prosperous silk merchant, is aligned with the powerful Medici, his home filled with luxuries and treasure. But soon Bellina finds herself bewitched by a charismatic monk who has urged Florentines to rise up against the Medici and to empty their homes of the riches and jewels her new employer prizes. When Master Leonardo da Vinci is commissioned to paint a portrait of Lisa, Bellina finds herself tasked with hiding an impossible secret. When art and war collide, Leonardo da Vinci, his beautiful subject Lisa, and the portrait find themselves in the crosshairs of history. If you're interested in The Stolen Lady, which is the story of the Mona Lisa in 2 different time periods being hid by 2 different people, it comes out September 21st. All right. We have reached the end, my friends. As always, don't forget to let me know if you want one of the giveaway books. Put the name of the book and your MPL location for pickup in the comments below. If you have not joined us on Goodreads, you should, because I put discussion posts up about every week with books that I don't get time to mention on here, but I think you might find interesting. And as always, if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, the link is in the description below. Next week, I will be back with September's science fiction, fantasy, and horror. If you're interested, join me next week for that. And I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.